Hello, BookTube. Back again with another reading update. And today it'll be sort of an August monthly recap. Got through tip right around my normal pace number of books. And so we'll jump right in. If you had seen my last reading update video, you'll know that I had started Crime and Punishment. And so I finished that here in August. And I really enjoyed this book. I think specifically, this here is the Pevear and Volokhonsky translation. I think they did a wonderful job. Really appreciate all the notes that they include at the back to sort of guide you through some of the just understanding of Russia at the time, historical figures, St. Petersburg, the city itself, or just, I guess, Petersburg as it's referenced to in the book. But really enjoyed it. I think, obviously, it's from what I've seen and read, it's the easiest Dostoevsky novel to sort of grasp. And so it's a good starting place. So I think I'll definitely want to keep reading some Dostoevsky now. Maybe go Notes for Underground, The Idiot, or Demons. I'm not going to do Brothers Karamazov next, just because I think that seemed a bit too daunting at the moment, but definitely plan on getting more into Dostoevsky because this, like I said, great read. If you haven't read it, check it out. If you have, you already know why I probably like it. And once again, yeah, this translation, same translation of the War and Peace translation I read. So really think if I'm going to keep going into Russian lit, I'll keep trying to find the Pevear Volokhonsky. And as well as this Everyman edition, I think was just a beautiful copy of the book. Just nice text inside. Sort of got this nice cloth bounding on the outside. I don't know, it's kind of hard to show that through the screen, but just beautiful with or without the jacket. Maybe you find them at your local bookstore or used copy. I think you really can't go wrong. And I know they make them for all sorts of authors. So, oops. Yeah, great read, Crime and Punishment. Then after Crime and Punishment, I decided to go into one I'd found at a local bookstore from an author that I had already read a little bit of, and that is Jon Krakauer's Into Thin Air. So I'd say probably 5 or 6 years ago, I read Into the Wild and really, really enjoyed that book. Actually, it was during school and I was supposed to pick a novel to do a project on, and I was like, oh, Into the Wild, this would be great. And then after I submitted my proposal, my teacher goes, that's nonfiction. You were supposed to pick a novel. Me, at that point, not even really knowing the difference, was like, well, what's the problem? It's a story about a guy going into the wild. And so thankfully, she let me pick it, really enjoyed the book. And I think, once again, Krakauer here, this time it's himself being in the story, is just such a fantastic journalist in the way that he can describe emotion and thought process and sort of put us on Everest with him. And I think, not being alive when this disaster went around, maybe I can't grasp what people were feeling, from what I can tell from the book, though, people across the globe, so many different countries had teams going up on the mountain, and it really, I think, might have touched a lot of people. And so I think this, not only from a historical perspective, he's throwing in stories of the first people climbing Everest and tales and quotes at the beginning of every chapter from, notable sort of mountaineering writers, I think just really help put the whole thing together. Lots of pieces in here that sort of really stick with me, and I think it's one that, while it is nonfiction, technically, the way it's written, you really feel like you're going on that journey with him, just as you would in any fantasy book or any other story. You're sort of going along with the character, and while there's impending doom, you can't stop reading. So fantastic book. Then after reading Into Thin Air, I decided to get into one you would have seen in my last book haul, and that was some of the selected writings of Jose Marti. And, I'm maybe a quarter or a little less than a quarter of the way through this and really enjoying it. I think the beginning of this one especially, just sort of outlining, before the page count even starts, just the introduction, outlining a lot of Marti and his life. I think even though I knew when I bought this book, I was like, oh, cool, I want to read it. I guess I thought he was alive later in the 19th century into the 20th century, but that's not the case. He died before we even hit the 20th century. And so just kind of starting to learn a little about his life. And I already read one piece in this. They say there's only one known photo of Marti smiling, and they don't even include it in the book. So I was kind of let down by that. So obviously you see here on the cover, he's not smiling. I think that one picture is with his son. So at least, at least there's one of him being happy. But from what I've read, there's not much for him to be happy about in life. And I think that's what kind of comes through in the poetry and the newspaper articles I've read so far is he's not afraid to let you know what he thinks. And that's so rewarding to read, honestly, because he's not afraid to speak his mind, especially when, Cuba or, the push for Cuban independence, really wasn't allowed. That free speech isn't the same as we have. So a lot of respect already for him. And I know as I continue reading, that's probably just going to continue to grow through his work and what he was trying to accomplish with his life. And then the last thing I've read or most recently finished was I read White Fang. So I read Call of the Wild years ago and loved it, and realized in this beautiful sort of like, I don't know if it's cloth or this nice edition, I'd never actually read White Fang. So I read that. It was a nice, quick, easy read, but really enjoyed it. And just like I thought I had read it, but it's sort of, the opposite of Call of the Wild. Instead of dog going into wolf, it's wolf going into dog in a sense. Obviously there's so much to pick up here, but you're sort of living through the mind and the thought of the dog. And so I think, once again, another novel from Jack London that I love so much. Nature, brutality that's sort of captured in these, animalistic behaviors, as well as just sort of maybe what it would be like to be an animal, their thoughts and their feelings towards man and nature and life, especially in White Fang as White Fang, the main character is sort of born and exploring. You're kind of growing with him in what it would be like to be born in the wild and sort of have to adapt at a very rapid pace. So White Fang was a terrific read. And so now coming up, you might be wondering, okay, well, got a whole nother month of September. What am I going to read? And so if you saw my latest book haul that I just uploaded yesterday, you would have seen this James Joyce. So I'm going to give this a try, a short read, I think, but, want to just sort of branch out from the standard stuff that I have and try something new. Also, the Jose Marti, going to try and finish that. But it's one of those where I'm not, pushing to get through. It's not a novel. Just sort of take it at a calm pace and enjoy it. As well as I really want to get into this Leonard Bernstein biography. I read the first pages again where it's this Humphrey Burton, and just trying to read a bit more about him and how he has basically, I think it's like 30 or 40 years of friendship with Leonard Bernstein going into the writing of this book. So I'm really excited. I recently listened to an album called Bernstein on Jazz. You can think of it as basically just a podcast if it was made in, I think, 1955 or 56, where for 40 minutes you have Leonard Bernstein going in and out, explaining why he loves jazz, how it works, why it's not this sort of low-class style of music. There's so much ability and power within it. So really just want to get into that, learn more about him and his music. And I think this is one where, yes, it's a biography like the Marti one, but I think I'll be even more drawn to keep going based on what I know now. So hopefully the writing lives up to it. Hopefully I'm able to give you a nice recap of it once I finish, because I think it'll be really special. And obviously there's probably going to be other ones I read along the way, some short stories, whether those are the Jack London short stories, some of these Henry James or Edgar Allan Poe ones. We'll see, just trying to keep reading. And thanks for joining. Let me know what you might be reading or have just finished reading, or if what you just read is something I need to get on my list right away. Definitely open to suggestions, and so excited to keep you all updated. Thanks.